Triangle trig first starts out with right triangles. There is trigonometry for other types of triangles. So first, we want to teach that using the memory aid SOHCAHTOA. We'll talk about opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. And my favorite person, the little orange man. Welcome to Mind Over Math. Welcome back to Mind Over Math. In this presentation, I want to talk to you a little bit about trigonometry of the right triangle using sine, cosine, and tangent. Of course, the edges, the corners of the right triangle have capital letters, and the sides opposite to them have the lowercase letters. Hypotenuse is opposite to the right angle. I want to talk to you about how to recognize and find angles or knowing angles in a triangle, and that's different from the Pythagorean theorem where you know no angles. So you'll notice here that the sine of an angle, now we're going to talk about angle A here, is opposite side over hypotenuse. And so opposite side from A is little a, and hypotenuse is little c. So we put abbreviation as a memory aid called SOH. This means sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now it's important to know that this opposite over hypotenuse is a fraction. It's a ratio. This is a trig ratio. Trig meaning it applies to right triangles. So you have sides of right triangles. There's a little stick guy down here also, and his purpose is to show the angle that is being concentrated on. The side opposite and the side adjacent changes when you change to another angle, say up here at B. So when I say opposite over hypotenuse, it is from A, opposite is little a, hypotenuse is little c. Cosine. Cosine of an angle is equal to the adjacent side of that angle over the hypotenuse of that angle. That is CAH. And the last trig function is tangent. Tangent is opposite side over adjacent. Now these all have a lot in common, but they're all different. Tangent is TOA. Tangent equals opposite over adjacent. A little more. So you have sine, cosine, tangent, and SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA is sine of opposite equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent equals opposite over adjacent. So this only applies to right triangles. The hypotenuse is always opposite to this right angle, and angles are capitals, whereas sides are lowercase. The two non-right angles will add up to 90. That's what this fourth one says. And then we use this little man to help us decide which is opposite, which is adjacent. Now, hypotenuse is not really being decided. SOHCAHTOA. Memorize that. You'll need it for every problem in trig. So a right triangle skateboard ramp has a height off the ground of 3 feet. It's at a 10-degree angle to the ground, to the horizontal, and we want to find side C. Now, if you remember, side C is opposite to the right, so it's not opposite, it is hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the longest side. And so we know because it's 10 degrees, the little man, which you could say is U, is at this vertex. And as he looks out, he sees A is opposite and C is hypotenuse. So of these three, he picks sine. Now there's some math needed. This C here is in kind of a weird place. 3 divided by C. It can't be in the denominator when you solve it. So you reverse 3 divided by C by multiplying. The reverse is multiplying by C over 1. You have to do that on both sides of the equation to keep the equation balanced. You can't do something to one side without the other. Now we have one more step. We have C over here with sine of 10, but we have to solve for C. So we divide by the sine of 10. And by the way, we don't divide by 10. We divide by the sine of 10 on both sides of the equal sign. And of course, these cancel. So then we get 3 over the sine of 10, at which point you will need a scientific calculator or a graphing calculator. And I'll show you both in this video. So this is our scientific calculator. A little first step. Notice this says RAD. Down here is DRG. When you push this button, the D stands for degree, R stands for radian, G stands for gradient. And when you push degree, you'll see a little DEG up here. You won't see RAD anymore. So anytime you're using sine, cosine, and tangents, your first question is, what units is the angle in? Now, radians are something we're going to discuss later. Degrees you're familiar with. And gradients is not used that much in this type of math. Let's do another problem. Let's suppose that there is the distance between A and B is 2,200 feet, and the angle B is 25 degrees. And another really important thing, notice this is a right triangle. Sine, cosine, and tangent do not apply to other types of triangles, only to rights. So when I look at this, and I'm standing here where this little man is, let's say that's me or you, and as we're looking out, we want to find BC, which is this side right here. So what is that to the little man? Well, that's adjacent. So the adjacent side and the hypotenuse would tell us we should be using cosine. The cosine of 25 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse, or x over 2,200. In order to solve this equation for x, we must get x by itself by reversing the dividing by 2,200, which means multiply by 2,200 on both sides, and the 2,200 cancels on the right side and transferred over to the left. This keeps the equation balanced when you do the same opposite step to both sides. So now we're ready to put this on a calculator, and we get $1,993.877 feet. Now let me show you this on a graphing calculator, a TI-83 Plus. There's many that are like this. But I wanted you to notice here that, again, the degrees and radians, you must be in degree mode. Calculators can only work when they're in the right mode. There's the mode button, which will get you that top screen up there. And, of course, there's our sine and sine inverse, cosine, cosine inverse, tangent, tangent inverse. The last thing we want to do is actually put this problem into the calculator, which we've done right here. 2,200, you don't have to put a time sign, but 2,200 cosine of 25, it's in degrees because across the page here we put it in degree mode. And this is our answer, and we're rounding, and you can round to whatever place you're asked to do. So my answer is 1993.877, or 0.88 if you want to do to hundreds, or 0.9 if you wanted to do to tenths. In the upper right hand corner, make sure you subscribe. In the upper left hand corner, make sure you check out other videos. Likes are below, and make comments on topics you need.